Welcome. INFOhio is happy to be bringing you this breakout session at OETC 2021. As with most things, OETC is a little different this year, as this is a pre-recorded session. Please revisit this session as often as you need to support your work with your students in your school. Today, we will be discussing some of the newest features in INFOhio Library Services available through your regional ITC. My name is Charles Smeezing, and I am the manager of the INFOhio Technical Services team and have been with INFOhio for more than 20 years. INFOhio is Ohio's pre-K through 12 digital library. We provide quality premium digital content and web tools at no cost to Ohio's teachers, students, and families. Equity is at the heart of our mission, ensuring that each Ohio pre-K through 12 student has equal access to high-quality digital resources for a successful education and future. Furthermore, our vision is to transform student learning through equitable access to quality resources and cost-effective instructional and technical support. Are you looking for more presentations from INFOhio? Check out all of INFOhio's OETC 2021 on-demand presentations. They are available at http://bit.ly/INFOhio@OETC2021. Again, that's the bit.ly address of INFOhio@OETC2021. INFOhio Library Services has several long-used tools, such as workflows, that continue to be available. But as we look to the future, you will see that we continue to enhance tools that are available. Let's spend some time today looking at some of our newer tools, as well as recent enhancements to current tools. We will be alternating between this slide deck and doing live demonstrations, so please be patient while we make those transitions during the presentation. Some of the objectives today is to look at ISearch Mobile, which was implemented in January of this year. Introduce you to Fetch, which is the online catalog being designed for younger learners. We will review some of the features of BLUEcloud Cataloging and BLUEcloud Circulation. We will demonstrate the newer features of the mobile staff client and introduce Symphony Webb, a user interface that's just now being investigated by INFOhio. INFOhio cannot provide these library services on our own. We rely on Ohio's ITCs, or Information Technology Centers, and the INFOhio providers to make INFOhio Library Services available to the schools. If you have questions about INFOhio Library Services, we encourage you to contact the INFOhio providers at your regional ITC. If you don't know which ITC serves your school, you will see that each ITC listed on the INFOhio website lists the counties where they currently provide services. That website, as you can see on the screen, is www.infohio.org/resources/category/ITC-information. We are going to begin today's discussion looking at ISearch Mobile, which was released in January of this year. When INFOhio upgraded the platform on which iSearch is built last winter, it included an accessible implementation of the iSearch pages. Shortly thereafter, INFOhio recognized that the accessible interface is also usable by mobile devices. With that in mind, we began encouraging users to preview the accessible or mobile pages with the intent of automatically recognizing mobile devices. That change of automatically recognizing those devices was implemented on January 18th, Martin Luther King Day of this year. So those accessing iSearch from their phone will now automatically see the iSearch mobile interface. iSearch Mobile has all of the features of iSearch, but in a mobile-friendly interface. The screenshot on your left shows that users can log into their account, create lists, and, if using from a desktop, exit out of the mobile/accessible mode to return back to the desktop mode. The screenshot in the middle shows where a user is able to limit their results using the same facets available in iSearch. Finally, the screenshot on the right demonstrates that all the digital content available in iSearch through the various tabs is available from the drop-down menu in iSearch Mobile. All of these features will be demonstrated in a few moments. Currently, the online catalog landing page, where users have the option to enter iSearch for your school library, will default to the traditional iSearch interface for desktop users. However, if you are linking to iSearch from your own school website, you can simply add the parameter $IC equals true to the URL to default to the iSearch mobile interface. There is an iSearch for Librarians learning pathword included in INFOhio Campus, which is available at www.infohio.org/campus. That learning pathway has been updated to include a module just on iSearch Mobile. Don't worry if you miss something in this presentation. You can go to INFOhio Campus and learn even more about iSearch Mobile on your schedule. And now it's time for a demonstration. For our demonstration today of iSearch Mobile, I've opened up two pages side by side. On the left, you're going to see the traditional iSearch interface. On the right, you have a view of the way that iSearch Mobile would look either on a phone or, again, you can use this in a desktop environment. Just to reiterate, if you're using the regular iSearch interface, you can go ahead and click on the accessibility icon to go into the accessibility mode to get to the iSearch mobile interface. Now, once you're in the iSearch mobile interface, just over here on the right-hand side, if I click on our hamburger menu here, you'll see it has the option to disable the accessibility mode. In other words, to go back to the traditional iSearch interface. If somebody were to select that option from a phone, on the other hand, or from another otherwise mobile device, it won't allow them to go back to the traditional iSearch interface. It'll just redirect them automatically back to the mobile interface. Again, I'm going to perform some of the same tasks in both interfaces just to show where the different features are, both within the traditional iSearch interface and where you can find the equivalent in the iSearch mobile interface. Knowing that OETC is held around Valentine's Day, I'm going to search for holidays in both interfaces. In both cases, you'll see that it defaults to My Library. So we have the My Library tab featured here, and then we have My Library selected from this drop-down list. If we wanted to go to some of the other tabs, if we click on encyclopedias, for example, we see the results from encyclopedias, or if we click on the drop-down list, we can select encyclopedias there as well. Now, over on the left-hand side of the traditional iSearch interface is where we can limit our search results. If we go to our filter results feature here, we can find some of those same, all of those same limiters available. So if we take a look, for example, if we wanted to limit by published date, we can specify the date that way. Or otherwise, if we want to look at the content provider, we can look at either research starters or World Book in this particular example for the content providers within the iSearch mobile interface. Over on the left-hand side, by the way, if you scroll down far enough, you can see we have the research starters and again, World Book available. So we have the same type of filters available. Again, we have these different tabs available in the various iSearch interfaces. Or various iSearch search results. So basic sources, advanced sources, STEAM related, and open access. And again, from this dropdown, we have the same options available: basic sources, advanced sources, STEAMed, and open access. For these different items, you can see, for example, over here on the left-hand side, if we go to encyclopedias in both examples, we have the View Download, which allows us to open up that particular article and view it. You may not necessarily see that right away over here on the right-hand side, but if you click on the kebab menu, we have the option to view/download. So that is where the option is available within the different menus here. Going back to the My Library results, you'll notice that you have the ability to place a hold directly on these screens if your library is set up to place holds. Okay. Whereas if you're going to go into place a hold on the traditional iSearch interface, you would actually have to go into the title and then select the option to place the hold. Now again, in iSearch Mobile, if we go to the kebab menu, we're going to see other options that are available there, such as adding it to your list and things along those lines. Or if you click on the title itself or select the title itself, you can see we have some of the options available here and some of the details available for your use, including the ability to cite this similar to what we saw here. So all of those options are available. They're just located in a different place using the iSearch mobile interface that way. Okay. The one last item I want to show you is that if we go to the hamburger menu here at the top, okay, we do have the ability to get into like the My Account feature, the My List feature. And again, if you're using a desktop, the ability to exit out of the accessibility mode and go into back to the traditional iSearch interface that way. So those options are available in that regard. Finally, the last thing I want to show in the iSearch mobile interface, if I enlarge this screen, again, you're welcome to use this on a desktop interface. There's no issues with it whatsoever. And if you have a link to iSearch from your own school website, you do have the option of simply adding this ampersand IC equals true to the URL to default to the iSearch mobile interface, even in your desktop environment. Finally, to wrap up this session, I want to mention that in the INFOhio campus section of our website, we have our INFOhio Learning Pathways. And under the INFOhio Learning Pathways, you will see a learning pathway for the BLUEcloud learning products. And under here, if you go down far enough, you will see iSearch for Librarians, where you're going to find all different types of modules related to iSearch. There is a specific section in here related to iSearch Mobile. So if you need to come back and review or get more details about where things are located within iSearch Mobile, I would encourage you to visit this particular module. However, I would encourage you to review all of the module as you're introducing iSearch to your fellow educators and to your students. Next, during this presentation, we want to discuss BLUEcloud Cataloging and BLUEcloud Circulation. This is just the second year that the BLUEcloud suite of products has been generally available as part of INFOhio's library services. Already, we have nearly 250 school systems using the BLUEcloud suite of products, and just this school year have had 300,000 transactions in the interface. Despite that statistics, there are still quite a few school systems who have not yet tried BLUEcloud Cataloging or BLUEcloud Circulation. If you are one of them, contact your INFOhio provider. Many of the common activities performed in the library system can be completed in the BLUEcloud products without needing to use the installed Workflows client. Plus, as enhancements are made and features added, they are simply included in the web interface without needing to do a full update of an installed client. INFOhio has a whole series of learning pathways related to the BLUEcloud product, so it's easy for users to become familiar with the functionality of the product. Now, I'll be honest, I thought the circulation features would be the most popular piece because it can be used in the library, in the classroom, at the curbside, and on any device with a web browser and scanner. But BLUEcloud Cataloging continues to be the more popular of the two. It's so easy to use. Momentarily, we will go into the BLUEcloud Cataloging and BLUEcloud Circulation to give a brief demonstration of the BLUEcloud products. But please note that there is an on-demand presentation just for BLUEcloud available through OETC as well. It is entitled INFOhio and BLUEcloud, the cutting edge of library services. Now it's time for a demonstration. When we first log in to BLUEcloud Central, you'll be presented with a screen similar to this. Now, please keep in mind that I'm logged in with an administrative account, so I have more options and privileges than a typical user might have. One thing to show you is that you will be able to, if you have access to multiple libraries within your school system, be able to select which library to access. Again, I have access to quite a few libraries, so I have a much larger tree. But if you have access to multiple libraries within your school system, you would be able to select which school you want to work with. Once I've made that selection, you can see that I have the option of going into BLUEcloud Circulation or cataloging, and then this My Classes feature, which is something new that we are exploring. When we go into circulation, we are immediately prompted with an option to search for the patron, and you can search for them by name or by scanning in their barcode, for example. You could also do a patron check-in by clicking on the box that's down here at the bottom. I'm going to go ahead and limit my searches to the high school, and I'm just going to search by the name Smith, which will retrieve one student record or one patron record. It'll come up with a pop-up box letting us know of any alerts that it has. In this case, this particular patron has unpaid bills and overdue items, as well as holds available. So it has quite a few different options that are alerts that came up in the pop-up. I'm going to go ahead and close that for the time being. But as we look at this, again, we do have some items that are overdue here. Let's say that they want to renew a couple of these items. So I'm going to go ahead and select a couple of these items to renew. And it's as easy as selecting the items and clicking the renew button. Now, it will give us different options, whether it was renew as seen or unseen. The as seen basically means that they brought the materials in, so we can validate that they indeed do have the materials and we're not just taking their word for it. So we're going to renew them both as seen. And just as it would in workflows, it'll prompt us for overrides when appropriate. At this point, I'm going to go ahead and use the check-in feature from the home page of Circulation. And it gives us the option of checking in items. I'm going to go ahead and select one of the barcodes that we had. And at this point, right up here, I would go ahead and have the option to scan in that barcode. If we happen to use a book drop feature, we do have that option here where we can specify what date the items should be checked in. Again, in this case, I'm just going to go ahead and check the item in, and it shows it's been checked in. Simple as that. Let me go ahead and check this item back out to that same patron. To check the item out to a patron, when you're looking at the patron's information and reviewing it, you see that we have the area right up here where we simply can scan in that barcode number and then press enter on the keyboard, or if you're doing it interactively, you can click on the arrow to check the item out to the patron. Again, it comes up with any overrides as necessary, just as it would in workflows. You will see that it does indicate any new checkouts that have occurred during this interaction with a patron. For my example of BLUEcloud cataloging, we'll go ahead and from the home page, go into cataloging. At this point, with the BLUEcloud cataloging, you'll notice that it gives us options of different targets to search. It has all targets by default, but we can specify that we want to search our specific database or other databases, such as the INFOhio Catalog, Library of Congress, or OCLC WorldCat, just to name a few. I'm going to go ahead and limit it to our own database, and I'm going to search for holidays. When we do our search, one of the nice features that we have is that it does come back with things such as book covers for the titles so that we can see what title we might be working with. In this case, I noticed that the Celebrate Holidays has an author of unknown. And if I go into that particular title, we can take a look at that title and we can use Smart Search, and it is going to match that title with other titles that might be available. In this case, it found 4 possible matches from OCLC WorldCat. Now, there is this book river toggle here that allows us to see the book covers that match those particular titles coming from OCLC. Right away, I recognize that one of these 2 might be very good matches for what I have. And furthermore, what it does is it highlights which entries in OCLC WorldCat match the target, the original title that we have. In this case, it's using the ISBN number to find those matches. Now, as we look at this record and evaluate and determine that, yes, it is indeed a good item, we have different options available. One of them is to merge the record over, which will just pull over the individual fields. So if you have a decent title, you might be able or want to pull over just specific records that are of interest or specific fields that are of interest to you. Like, for example, you might want to pull over some reading program information, Lexile information, maybe subject headings and the like. So you would have the option to pull those over. Okay. The merge option will pull over everything that is not already in the record, whereas you can use this tool to pull over individual pieces. And you can see it's pulling over those individual subject headings from the right over to the left. If I use the replace option, it'll pull everything over. It'll give any appropriate warnings, but it'll pull the whole title over and allow us to go ahead and save those changes if we would like. If we realize that we've made a mistake, we can click the revert button and it simply restores our title back to the way it originally was, so long as we have not yet saved it. So you can see how attractive this is because of how easy it is to pull in the existing records from other sources into your own catalog. Again, if you have not used the BLUEcloud suite of products yet, I encourage you to contact your INFOhio provider at your regional ITC and ask that you be set up with access to BLUEcloud so you can try it out for yourself. The mobile staff client was formerly called MobileCirc, but as features have been added to the client, it was realized that this is going well beyond circulation. In fact, some of the most popular features in mobile staff are related to doing an inventory and weeding of a collection. Of course, it has plenty of circulation features as well. As the name implies, Mobile Staff is available as an app for mobile devices. In many cases, it can read barcode using the camera of the device, but INFOhio strongly recommends the use of the Bluetooth scanner to make it more efficient when using a mobile device. Mobile Staff can also be used from browser, which is quite popular with our user base. Another popular feature of Mobile Staff is using it in kiosk mode, thus allowing students to check in and check out materials themselves without the intervention of library staff. The interface intentionally limits the functionality that is available. What a great way of keeping everyone as safe as possible while still giving patrons access to the materials students and staff need to support education. As you might have guessed, there is a course for mobile staff within INFOhio campus as well, which will take users through all of the features available in the mobile staff client. Today we'll be focusing on just a few features, but before we begin, it's important to note that each ITC has their own activation key. So again, please contact the INFOhio provider of your ITC to get that activation key for your school. For my demonstration of the BLUEcloud Mobile Staff client, I'm just going to review some of the features that are built into the client. I'm looking at this in a web browser interface, but I have resized it a bit to make it look similar to what somebody might see if they were using it on a mobile device. Again, there is a mobile app that can be downloaded and installed both for Android and for Apple devices. For this demonstration of the mobile staff client, rather than going through and doing transactions, I'm going to instead focus on the features and functions that are available in this client. Within the BLUEcloud Mobile Staff client, you'll see that we have the options to do typical circulation functions, such as check out, check in, renew materials either by user or by item, indicate an item has been used in-house, meaning that a student has retrieved the item from a shelf and you need to, for example, reshelve it, but it has been used within a library. Check an item status, do many of your typical holds functions, and do a few other additional items that you may not anticipate in a client like this. Again, one of the most popular is using it for inventory purposes. Those of you that might recall with inventory is traditionally those barcodes would need to be scanned into a file, uploaded into workflows, and it wouldn't be until after you ran a report where you would find out whether items were missing, items were misshelved, things along those lines. Okay. With the inventory item built into the mobile staff client, as you're scanning items in, you can get audible alerts to indicate that an item has been misshelved, and it can be then promptly put into the proper location. Before using the inventory, you do need to go into the setup and for the inventory, indicate that you want the audible alerts and check shelving orders activated on your behalf. The deselect tool allows you to go into your specific library and specify which items need to be removed because they are no longer being actively circulated. You can use the dusty date feature, which, for example, will tell you items that have not been used in quite some time. Okay. And you can also specify the maximum number of circulations that have taken place, either since the value has been reset or since the items were added to the system. It is important to note that with this dusty date feature, it does not count the last activity date for an item. Rather, it looks at items, things that, such as when it was last discharged and things along those lines, or last checked in. Okay. With this feature, as you review the list, you can go ahead and find the items that are on your shelf. And if your settings are set properly, you can use the question mark to indicate that the item is not on your shelf, in which case it would check it out to the missing user. Or you can use the trash can icon to change the status of the item to discard, which you can work with them with your INFOhio provider to have those discard items later removed from your collection. Going back to the functions and features that are available, over on the left-hand side, we do have the option to add users or modify users. Another option that is available is to track attendance at events. This works in conjunction with the cataloging module within workflows. Essentially, you would create a brief title that would have an event that you want to track attendance. Once that item's been created, you can then put in that ID associated with that item or that event that was created. And then thereafter, you can scan in barcode numbers for those students who are attending that particular event. Of course, you might have non-students attending, so you do have the option of scanning in or indicating that guests are attending as well. But it's a nice way of tracking who is attending your various events, how many people are attending, and the like. Another feature that was mentioned was using the BLUEcloud mobile staff in kiosk mode. As noted in the description, the kiosk mode has very limited functionality compared to the regular mobile staff client. Students can either check out or check in items. You'll notice that for the user ID, when doing a checkout, for example, they have the choice of either scanning their barcode number or searching for their student ID. Okay. They do not have the option of doing a user search, so that option is disabled for these individuals. Similarly, checking in has the option of checking in the item by scanning in the barcode, and that is the only option available. So again, the limitations are intentionally very limited so that students can do self-check-in and check-out. And if there is any issues, they would have to receive some intervention from a library staff member. SymphonyWeb is the newest tool of which INFOhio has just received access, literally days before this presentation was recorded. A regular user of INFOhio will recognize this as being workflows, and indeed it is, but it is being presented in a web interface rather than an installed client. Using a web-based client should allow for easier updates in the future. Because it is so new to INFOhio, we do not have many more details to share at this time, but we want to share that this tool is indeed being explored on behalf of Ohio schools using INFOhio's library services. Is your school benefiting from INFOhio Library Services? Are you growing the use of digital resources in your school or classroom with INFOhio? We want to hear from you. We like to spotlight teachers and school libraries using INFOhio resources in schools across Ohio. Share your story for a chance to be featured on our website or in the biannual newsletter to our valued partners. Follow the link there on your screen to complete the survey. We also encourage you to follow INFOhio on social media. Send a tweet or add a picture from your classroom or school library showcasing students using INFOhio's digital resources. Catch up on INFOhio's news items, blogs, and webinars sent straight to your feed. And join the community of INFOhio supporters. On Twitter, we can be found at twitter.com/INFOhio. On Facebook, facebook.com/INFOhio. And Instagram at instagram.com/INFOhio. If you have any questions about INFOhio Library Services or anything you have seen in this presentation, or if you want to learn more about INFOhio Library Services, you are encouraged again to contact the INFOhio provider of your regional ITC. We want to support your work with your students. Please reach out to us with any questions or for more information about InfoHio's resources and using those resources in your classroom with your students and families. You can contact us using our support@infohio.org website. Thank you so much.